writing a female villain is a balancing act, and as many of you pointed out in our last video, it's one that's easy to get wrong. So today we're diving into how to actually get it right. Take Isma, pure chaos, razor-sharp style, and the kind of villainous confidence that makes her hilarious one second and genuinely terrifying the next.
She's hiding something. When I give the word, we search the house.
But she's not the only one. There are 3 other female villains who were written with such clarity, intensity, and purpose that they've become icons in their own right. So what exactly makes a female villain perfectly written, and why do so many others fall flat? Entrance. Entrance is key, bro. Remember how Ursula first appeared in The Little Mermaid?
Hurry home, princess. We wouldn't want to miss old Daddy's celebration.
It's a quiet, sinister entrance with no charisma yet. She doesn't even reveal her face. But that voice, low, velvety, and theatrical, it sets the tone perfectly. She's lurking, watching, planning. Just like a siren, she doesn't chase her prey, she waits, she lures with her voice, with her beauty, and then boom, you're trapped. I know you're probably thinking, but Ursula is a Cicalia, aka half human, half octopus, and not a siren. We get that. However, we're using siren here metaphorically. That is seductive and dangerous, and Ursula definitely fits that bill. Anyway, Ursula's first appearance is packed with so many details that make her a great villainess.
We had fantastical feasts when I lived in the palace.
Picking the trembling shrimp and eating it whole tells the audience this woman is a predator. This woman is evil because even her food is scared of her. Soon, she lets us in on her motivation.
Banished and exiled and practically starving.
Then, she reveals herself fully.
Well, I'll give 'em something to celebrate soon enough.
Ursula is based on the drag icon Divine, and everything about her oozes flair. She's massive and bold. The purple skin, the flaming red lipstick, the tentacles, and the exaggerated body language are all part of a performance. This theatricality is part of her psychological warfare. She demands your attention. She's not the kind of villain you could forget if you tried.
She may be the key to Triton's undoing.
And her lair? An underwater cavern glowing with the souls of those she's already crushed. It is both terrifying and intimate. She doesn't need an army or a kingdom. She just needs one-on-one access to your weaknesses.
Would make a charming addition to my little garden.
First off, that's just an incredible villain entrance and an even better way to introduce the siren. Seductive, confident, and terrifyingly in control. This is also evident when she finally meets Ariel. Who needs brute force or physical dominance when you can weaponize something far more potent? Desire.
Well, Angelfish, the solution to your problem is simple.
Ursula knows exactly what Ariel wants. Freedom, legs, a shot at love, and she uses all this as bait. That's the brilliance. That is why Ariel gives up her voice willingly in exchange for what she thinks will make her happy. Yes, the tentacled witch doesn't give her a chance to rethink.
But I don't have
I'm not asking much, just a token, really a trifle.
But it's obvious Ariel wanted what Ursula was offering, and this is the core of the villainess. She thrives by giving people what they want most, but always with a hidden cost. She doesn't force your hand, she lets you dig your own grave, and then laugh while you fall in. Ursula's character teaches us something fundamental. You see, writers today often give villains sympathetic backstories, such as abuse, betrayal, or neglect, to explain why they turned evil, and there's a place for that.
I mean, It's all right.
But Ursula doesn't need it. At least, not so much of it. What's her business with trauma when she just wants to overthrow King Triton and seize control of the ocean? She wouldn't play the victim card even though she was banished from the king's court. She wants more than that now. She's here to win, and that detachment from sympathy is powerful. Because not every villain needs to be a victim. Sometimes it's scarier when they're not.
A prince! Daddy'll love that.
But what's even better is that Ursula is a predator who has fun with her evil ways. And that gleeful cruelty, that's something too many female villains are never allowed to have anymore. Somewhere along the way, writers got scared to let their female antagonists actually enjoy being evil. Instead, we get villains who are just bitter, misunderstood trauma victims. Or career women who dared to have ambition and no children, as if those alone were crimes. Basically, female villains have lost their spark these days, and this has also affected female heroes, such as Captain Marvel, who was written without depth. Just a stone-cold, emotionless, and unbeatable chick who could have probably done better as a villain. However, Ursula is different. She is evil. Pure and simple, yes. But she is also fun, and that's what makes her timeless. So if you're a writer crafting a female villain and want her to hit hard, remember this: don't make her chase power. Let her attract it. Like a siren on the rocks, she should sing so sweetly that people choose their own doom. Or better yet, to create a perfect, irresistible villainess, why not just take a note out of this next villain's book? Mother Gothel's weapon of choice is emotional control, turned up to the highest. Ursula might manipulate with her gifts and theatrics, but Gothel just needs a tower and her words.
Bling.
Her villainy is soft, slow, and intimate. She is the person you know versus the person that is. Mother Gothel is like the medieval version of Elizabeth Sparkle, vain and terrified of aging. The only difference, while Sparkle relied on the substance to preserve her youth, Gothel stole an innocent child and locked her away for life.
Gothel broke into the castle, stole the child, and just like that, gone.
From the outside, Mother Gothel plays the role of a loving, if overprotective mother.
Why can't I go outside?
The outside world is a dangerous place.
But it's a mask. We are the only ones who know her true intentions, because at the beginning of the movie, she used a magic golden flower to prolong her youth. However, when that plant is uprooted and given to a young Rapunzel as medicine, Gothel kidnaps her. Unfortunately, Rapunzel doesn't know this. She is raised in complete isolation, locked in a tower for quote-unquote your own good.
You are not leaving this tower!
But Gothel only values Rapunzel for the magical healing power hidden in her hair. Hence, she intensifies her manipulation to keep Rapunzel locked up forever. When the poor kid expresses a simple dream to see the floating lanterns, Gothel shuts her off.
Mother.
In a few minutes, Gothel delivers a masterclass in emotional manipulation. She guilt trips by making her feel like her feelings for Flynn are because she's naive. Not to mention the level of gaslighting that she subjected poor Rapunzel to.
Why would he like you? Come on now, really? Look at you! You'll think that he's impressed.
But let's not forget her passive aggression.
Rapunzel's so mature now.
Even compliments are double-edged. She would praise herself first, then just throw Rapunzel in as an afterthought. Textbook narcissistic behavior. Gothel destabilizes Rapunzel's confidence so thoroughly that Rapunzel apologizes for even wanting freedom. That's long-term psychological control. She's built an emotional prison, and the kid doesn't even know she's in it. But here's where the writing gets brilliant. Gothel's manipulation is invisible. There are no whips, no cages, no soldiers, just a tower and a smile. But it's enough, because what Gothel has done is far more sinister. She's made herself the only source of information, love, and approval in Rapunzel's life. That's how abusers operate. They make you dependent. So dependent that even when Rapunzel finally does leave, Gothel doesn't panic, she doesn't go full villain. She ups the manipulation. She tries to drive a wedge between her and Flynn Rider, first by lying.
This is why he's here. Don't let him deceive you.
Then by staging a betrayal.
My precious girl.
You see, where most modern villains would be given a tragic backstory or a big redemption arc, Gothel is refreshingly evil in a way that mirrors real life. That's what makes her dangerous, because she's the kind of villain we actually know. A toxic parent, a gaslighting partner, a manipulative guardian who turns love into control. And she never once loses her cool. That's the scariest part. Her voice stays soft. Her tone stays sweet. Her rage is measured and cold. Worse, people like this never admit to defeat, and Gothel never did. Even when her lies were discovered, she resorted to violence. That said, what does Mother Gothel actually teach us about writing a perfect female villain? Writers seeking to craft truly compelling manipulators should focus on erosion over explosion by subtly undermining the protagonist rather than resorting to overt destruction. This means letting the antagonist wear the hero down slowly, chipping away at their confidence and relationships. Much like how Gothel constantly eroded Rapunzel's self-worth with cutting remarks and feigned affection. The manipulator should also isolate the protagonist, not herself, becoming the absolute center of their world through constant presence and manufactured dependence. We see this with Frollo and Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, where Frollo controlled Quasimodo's entire perception of the world from within the cathedral. Additionally, language is the manipulator's primary weapon, wielded with precision for guilt, sarcasm, and fake affection. Scar's insidious words to Simba in The Lion King, preying on his guilt and convincing him to run away, perfectly illustrate this verbal artistry. Finally, proximity is paramount. The manipulator should be the closest person in the hero's life, feeding them and kissing their forehead rather than luring them from a distance. Hence, Gothel's constant, intimate presence in Rapunzel's life makes her manipulations so deeply effective. Conversely, some animated movies miss the mark on this nuanced approach, often leaning into more overt villainy. Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, while iconic, primarily uses direct curses and grand magical displays, focusing on external control rather than internal psychological torment. Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians embodies an overt, almost comical monstrousness driven by obsession, with no real attempt to subtly erode her victims' spirits or relationships. These villains are memorable, but their methods, while entertaining, lack the insidious, deeply psychological warfare that defines a truly masterful manipulator. However, that doesn't mean you can only write a villainess by using desire or emotional manipulation to establish her character. You can use something even more powerful. Style, ego, control, and pure theatrical chaos. Look, if you had to distill villainy into a single chaotic, bedazzled force of nature, it might look a lot like Isma.
You think?
She's not seductive like Ursula, she's not psychologically manipulative like Gothel, she doesn't whisper or guilt trip. She is an eccentric and comical villain. Her style is characterized by her gaunt, angular design, bold purple vibe, and dramatically flamboyant, often feathered outfits and headwear.
Perfect. These are my best shoes.
Voiced by the legendary Eartha Kitt, Isma's monologues are delivered with a captivating blend of theatrical purrs, sarcastic bite, and dramatic flair that perfectly complements her over-the-top villainy.
That's it, Grant. That's it. I'll get rid of Cusco.
Isma has a crocodile moat,
Pull the lever, Gronk.
a secret lab where she cooks her magical poisons. She also has Kronk, a dim-witted yet good-hearted henchman, often serving as comedic relief with his inner monologues, impressive cooking skills, and surprising moral compass.
Drink. Right.
Isma is unpredictable, and best of all, she's never in on the joke. That's what keeps her funny and frightening. She's not trying to be funny, she takes herself and her plans completely seriously. Despite the eccentricities, she works brilliantly. Because under all the glitter and bone-thin cheekbones is a serious villain with a serious goal: destroy the Emperor and seize power.
With him out of the way and no heir to the throne, I'll take over and rule the Empire. Brilliant.
Writers often think that making a villain funny weakens their credibility, but Isma proves the opposite. She's hilarious because she's scary, and scary because she's hilarious. And somehow, she's still a threat. Think about it, she nearly kills Cusco in the first 20 minutes, but mistakenly turns him into a llama instead. Oh, let's not forget how she betrayed her loyal servant, Kronk.
It's like I'm talking to a monkey.
Whoa now.
A really, really big, stupid monkey named Kronk.
Her over-the-top personality and dramatic flair make her failures amusing, yet her relentless ambition keeps her a genuine threat, building a unique tension where the audience laughs at her antics while still acknowledging her malevolent intent. In contrast, take a character like She-Hulk, whose humor often aims for the same fourth-wall-breaking meta-comedy vibe as Deadpool. But while Deadpool balances absurdity with real emotional stakes, grief, vengeance, purpose, She-Hulk often struggles to land that balance. The jokes sometimes undercut the story instead of serving it. References to CGI or superhero cliches are clever, sure, but they can come at the cost of tension or character depth. Without an underlying sense of danger or narrative weight, the humor doesn't just lighten the tone, it erases the stakes. Similarly, unlike Isma, whose comedic failures highlight her dangerous competence, She-Hulk's humor can sometimes undermine its character's struggles or the world's established rules, making it difficult for the audience to take anything seriously, whether it's the stakes of a legal case or the protagonist's personal journey. The comedy in She-Hulk often feels like a shield against criticism or a distraction, rather than a natural extension of a compelling character or plot, thus failing to achieve the paradoxical success of Isma's humor. Furthermore, Isma uses identity to perfection. She's a brand. She's her own legacy. And that makes her magnetic or disgusting if you're Cusco.
Whoa. Look at these wrinkles. What is holding this woman together?
But why does this work? Well, Isma's world is unhinged. The humor is baked into the fabric of the film, so her wild energy fits. She belongs in the chaos, and she thrives in it. So if you want to write a villain like Isma, here's what matters. She must have a serious goal. No matter how over-the-top her actions, her desire must be grounded. She must be dangerous, not just funny. Let her succeed occasionally. Let her almost win. She must take herself seriously. Isma's obliviousness is what sells the comedy, not self-awareness. She must own her chaos, make her flaws part of her charm. Arrogance, impatience, theatrical flair, make them all intentional. But if Isma is chaos dressed in couture, this next villain doesn't even wear a shirt. She is completely nude, and yet crafting her takes a genius level of writing. Zira is the perfect embodiment of wrath, especially because she's focused, calculated, and patient. Her villainy is about ideology, a belief so strong that she raises a child for one purpose: to finish a war that should have died with Scar. Scar, in Zira's mind, wasn't a tyrant, he was a martyr, and so she trains her son Kovu to be Scar's second coming, her chosen one, her living weapon.
The plan is in motion. Go!
Zira never tries to hide her intentions. From her first scene, she's preaching, indoctrinating. Scar may be gone, but his memory is weaponized, and Zira becomes the vessel of his fury. Her lair is littered with echoes of the past: desolate land, sharp rocks, outcast lions. It's all symbolic. This is Scar's legacy, crumbling, and she's hell-bent on restoring it. But the most dangerous thing about Zira is that she truly believes she's noble, that she's avenging injustice, that the Pride Lands were stolen, that Simba is the enemy.
I've been exiled, persecuted, left alone with no defense.
She's not evil in her own eyes, she's righteous, and righteous villains are the hardest to stop. Anyway, perhaps the craziest thing about Zira is how she weaponizes motherhood. Screw raising your son with love when you can build him into a weapon or a robot with a mission.
What is your destiny? I will avenge Scar.
Every bedtime story is about Scar. Every lesson is about hate. Every word of affection is tied to obedience. And when Kovu starts to question the plan, when he begins to see Kiara not as prey, but as a partner, Zira goes berserk and gives her son a scar. She twists the dagger of guilt, because for Zira, love is conditional, loyalty is everything, and anything less than total devotion is betrayal. Her final moments reflect that. Even when she's offered a chance to let go, to accept peace, she refuses.
Let it go, Zira. It's time to put the past behind us.
I'll never let it go.
She chooses death over compromise.
Give me your paw.
Because to her, forgiveness is weakness, peace is surrender, and Scar's name demands blood. But why does writing a villain like Zira work so well? Well, for one, she's terrifying because she's organized, she's strategic, she plays the long game, and that makes her rare in the Disney canon. While many female villains rely on seduction, manipulation, or sheer spectacle, Zira is a soldier, a zealot. Her villainy is generational pain turned into doctrine, and her downfall is that she refuses to evolve. She clings to a world that no longer exists. She raises her cub inside that pain, and when the world moves on without her, she'd rather die than change. So, writers, take note, the mother of wrath doesn't need to be loud. She needs to be committed. Her danger comes from purpose, from belief, from the idea that she's saving the world, even if she has to burn it down to do it. But beyond these 4 types of villains, there are some very important things you need to know when writing a perfect female villain. If you want to understand why so many female villains today feel hollow, just look at how badly some female heroes are written. Take Captain Marvel. She's powerful, sure, but she feels untouchable, emotionally flat, and disconnected. Instead of a layered personality, we get a character that's sarcastic, stoic, and oddly smug. There's no real vulnerability, no moral complexity, and when that same writing style is applied to female villains, it gets worse. You end up with antagonists who are cold for no reason, angry with no depth, and evil because the plot demands it, not because it reflects who they are. Or look at Lady Galadriel in The Rings of Power. She's framed as strong and driven, but her intensity often reads as self-righteous and impulsive. We're told she's wise and powerful, but her actions don't show it. She's never allowed to be wrong, and that makes her dull. Now, imagine turning that writing approach into a villain. You get someone who's loud, angry, and always right, but without the nuance or control that makes a villain feel dangerous. Then there's live-action Mulan, stripped of vulnerability, given superpowers from the start, and turned into a flawless warrior with zero internal conflict. Her struggles are external only, and that's exactly how too many female villains are written now. One-dimensional forces with no emotional anchor. They're either too perfect or too shallow to be interesting. The irony? All three of these characters could have made incredible villains. Captain Marvel as a cosmic enforcer, Galadriel as a corrupted queen, and Mulan as a cold, tactical conqueror. But instead of exploring that darkness, modern storytelling keeps sanding down the edges, afraid to let female characters be too much. And that's how we lose what makes villains unforgettable. Look, the perfect female villain doesn't need your sympathy. She doesn't need a backstory soaked in tragedy or a redemption arc that softens the blow. What she needs is intent. Not all great villains are tragic, but every great villain is clear. Clear in their goals, clear in their power, clear in the threat they pose. We remember Ursula because she gave Ariel exactly what she wanted, with a smile and a catch. We remember Gothel because she wrapped control in lullabies. Isma because she nearly killed an emperor with nothing but a lab coat, a plan, and a god complex. And Zira because she raised a child into a weapon. These villains weren't soft. They weren't sanitized. They weren't afraid to be too much. So if you're writing a female villain, here are the 4 rules that matter. Give her power and let her know how to use it. Let her manipulate, not just fight. Don't water down her extremes. Embrace them. And most importantly, don't redeem her just because she's a woman. Let her be dark, let her be cruel, let her win until she doesn't, because sometimes the most unforgettable villains walk in the shadows, wearing lipstick, smiling widely, and burn your world down without blinking. Nevertheless, if you want to write a perfect male villain that is unforgettable, then you should watch this video about the one villain that people do not give enough credit, but is probably the best when it comes to twist villains.